allocation of capital and how you wrestle with the operating companies and how much cash comes up to the operating companies or comes up to the mothership versus the operating companies. And you and Charlie, do you ever fight or argue?
Charlie and I have never had an argument. We met when I was 29, he was 35. We're a little older now. And in those years, 55 years, we've disagreed on a lot of things. And it's just never led and never will lead to an argument. We argue with other people, but it hasn't occurred. I called Charlie on the Coca-Cola vote, and I said what the proxy statement said and everything. And said, "What do you think?" And we thought alike. Sometimes we don't think alike, and we never go away in the least bit mad if we don't.
Yeah, but most of the time we think alike. That's one of the problems. If one of us misses it, the other is likely to too.
Yeah, I would say that. Well, there's no question. If you look at the really bad mistakes we've made, I've made them. I'm probably a little more inclined toward action than Charlie. Would you say that's fair, Charlie? Or?
Well, you once called me the abominable no man.
Now we've missed. What was the first part of the question?
Capital allocation. How do you decide how much cash comes up from the operating companies to the mothership?
Yeah, that's pretty simple in that we don't really care too much where that 20 billion minimum is. We don't count the money in a regulated, in the energy business or the railroad. So we really count the money that we could make a phone call and get. With interest rates at these levels, we sit around sometimes with every one of our companies, I would say, that probably has more cash in it than if some other large conglomerate was running the place. They would probably have sweep accounts and all of that. And we may get around to that at some point, but it just doesn't make that much difference, because if we had it at the parent company, we'd have it out at 5 basis points, and if it's down at the subsidiary, it's probably getting 5 basis points. So it's not something we think about on a day-to-day or week-to-week or month-to-month basis. I know where the cash is, and I know when we're going to need cash, and I know what I'm thinking about doing or may possibly do in the next few months. That maybe something's a 50-50 probability of happening. And anything I am committing to do, I know where the cash is coming from. But it doesn't mean that we try to get it all in the parent company day by day or week by week like many companies do. We could change that procedure someday. Maybe a sweep account would make sense at some point, probably would. But we're not big disciplinarians of our subsidiaries day by day. We don't want them to feel that way. And there's one company I'm thinking of where I've never been there. Probably only talked to the fellow who runs it 3 or 4 times in 10 years. There's a lot of cash around. Every now and then he sends me some. And if I really need it, I know where it is, and he'll give it to me. But it doesn't really make much difference, whether it's sitting there or whether it's sitting at Berkshire. I don't want to encourage to our managers of our other subsidiaries who are listening to this a new way of behaving. But I sort of adapt. I sort of adapt to the companies, except when we really need the money, and then I grab it. Charlie?
That's just fine.